Hey, it's AP, and today I'm finally building, well, I built it, my studio scale TIE fighter. Check it out. A long time ago, 3 years, in a galaxy far, far away, my basement, I purchased an imperfect cast studio scale resin model kit from the world's biggest yard sale. Yep, eBay. On March 2nd, 2020, yes, 3 years ago from the date of uploading this video, I uploaded an unboxing video showing all the cool pieces and what I was going to get myself into with this studio scale model. Now, I have started and stopped this project so many times over the last few years that I wasn't even sure I was going to finish it. But a recent trip to Star Wars Celebration reignited my love for the universe, and I figured it was time to clear this off my bench and finally finish it. And why did it take me so long? Well, this kit was in rough shape. It was listed as a miscast or imperfect cast, which means there were some errors in the molding process, but it's possible it's a recast, which is when someone makes a copy, and usually a copy is never as good or clear as the original. So there was a lot of rebuilding of details that I had to do. And with my own self-doubts about being able to create a beautiful studio scale model that my friends over in the Starship Modeler Facebook group would be excited to see, well, it just added to the timeline. So let's rewind and I'll take you on a stroll down memory lane to see how this was fixed, built, and painted, as well as a recap of my many different hairstyles, facial hair states, and even body widths over the years. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. It's free, it doesn't cost you a thing, and I do appreciate it. Oh, and stick around until the end to hear my thoughts on buying miscast kits to save a few bucks. You'll be shocked at my response. No, you won't. You won't be shocked at all. These wings are a mess. Pieces are warped. They're broken. Things are just hanging off of them. Ugh. I started with the easy stuff, gluing the hangers on down with some CA glue and zip kicker. For the more advanced stuff, I actually had to fully replace some of the details with styrene. I didn't have any regular styrene around and was really impatient, so I just ran to the home center and got an open sign, which is, well, it's a piece of styrene. Great in a pinch, and the thickness of the sign was almost perfect for the wing repairs. I just cleaned up the spot where the new styrene was going to go and then glued it down with CA and zip kicker. The areas that had medium-sized imperfections and breaks, I used this 2-part modeling putty called Fix It, which is really easy to work with and dries hard as a rock. And for the really small stuff, I just used good old-fashioned Bondo. While everything dried, I used my snips to remove the spots where the resin was poured into the molds. Yeah, we'll go with that. These were really thick areas, so I also had to break out the sandpaper. Oh, and when sanding resin, always wear a mask. You do not want to inhale this stuff. The sides of the wings were all dimpled and warped, so I just Bondoed the heck out of them. Also, make sure you're wearing a mask when sanding this stuff. It's just as bad as resin dust. Once everything was sanded down, I bored out the hole where the body will eventually attach. Just go slow and steady here. You don't want to have your drill bit accidentally crack or ruin the wing somehow. All right, the wings are as in good of a spot as I think I can get them. This is a miscast. I got it super cheap on eBay. It's actually even possible it's a recast. So the quality of this is not where it would be if I bought a fresh one from the original designer, the original designer of the model. So there's lots of imperfections in the wings. These little fins here, I've pretty much had to replace almost 60% of them because they just all snapped off. So I just had to make them out of styrene, and right now I have some of these are drying with the Bondo, and I'll sand them down nice and smooth and even. But a lot of those had to be replaced. The solar panels, they should be perfectly level, textured but level. There's a lot of waving within here, and I just don't have the skill set of working with resin or working with studio scale kits in general to repair that. Like I said, if I bought this fresh, I wouldn't have that issue. It would be a 9 out of 10 in terms of quality. But hey, you get what you pay for. I knew what I was getting, so it's not that big of a deal. And in the end, this is giving me the experience of working with resin, working with studio scale kits, and repairing them. Now we prime. I'm using Mr. Surfacer Gray 1500, which was recommended to me on the RPF. I primed and repaired a bunch of times. It felt like every time I primed, I found more stuff to fix. And that's what I get for cheaping out and buying a miscast on eBay. After God knows how many iterations of the prime, fix, prime routine, I was finally ready to paint the solar panels. Here I'm just using Tamiya Gloss Black. After a year or so of drying, I was finally ready to finish painting the wings, this time the metal parts. Masking the panels is a great activity for the kids. Those little hands can get the tape in those odd angles. Just kidding. Have them work on the big stuff, the detail work, leave it to the professionals. After a few coats of Tamiya Haze Gray, we have TIE Fighter wings. Okay, let's work on the body now. The ball. The ball. Do not taunt. Happy fun ball. So this is the cockpit of the TIE Fighter. And as you can see, it is a solid ball of resin. And one thing I have to do is I have to remove all that excess resin so I can put my pilot in. I actually found a replica TIE Fighter pilot on eBay, and I want to put him in here. But to do that, I have to remove all this resin. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to try using my Dremel to kind of carve out most of this. I saw a build thread where someone was doing the same model, and he had to get the center out, and he used a drill. So I don't know. We'll figure this out and hopefully not destroy the model kit. That has to happen. And then also I have to get through and just kind of smooth out some of these imperfections here. I have to scribe or rescribe some of these lines on the front and the back. You can see there's a lot of like silly stuff over here. It's all uneven, needs to be smoothed out. I'm going to use some of the Fix-It to repair this missing little piece here. It's like I feel like an auto body repair shop trying to rebuild a car. So that has to happen as well. And then we can move on. The process for the ball is pretty much the same as the wings. Fix, sand, prime, fix, sand, prime, and so on and so on. I picked up a scribing tool to help me remake some of the panel lines. It worked okay. To hollow out the ball, I used the largest Forstner bit I had in the shop, which was a 1 1/4. I just went slow and steady and repeated my cuts until the ball was pretty hollowed out. All right, so this is as hollow as I actually need it to be or want it to be. And this came out pretty nice. I don't know if I'm going to use the end mill on this or if I'll just kind of sand this all smooth and call it good. The interior will have some styrene sheets in here to kind of serve as the back wall and the side panels, but I've accomplished what I need to accomplish. I have space for now this little cockpit piece here, and then my pilot, who has no arms. But that is, I think that's perfect. Should he go lower? No, I think that's perfect. Yeah, that looks great. Okay. For the greeblies, I had to match the curve of the ball. For this, I just used a heat gun on low. You could also use a hairdryer or even warm water to soften the resin so you can mold it to fit. Since I'm going to be lighting the engines, I need a way to hide the battery and the wires, so I had some leftover styrene from my open sign, so I could just cut that down to size and create a back wall for the cockpit. Now I just need to drill out the engine holes for the 3mm LEDs. Lights. A little hot glue on its lowest setting keeps all the wires in place. I'll eventually paint this all black to hide them a bit better. For the cannons, I decided to just remove the tips and hollow them out so they looked more realistic. The cockpit frame and the dashboard got painted with Tamiya's German gray. I accidentally painted the hatch that color too. Don't do that. It's supposed to be haze gray. I could have sworn I saw somewhere that the detail pieces were sea gray, but this just looked way too green. So I switched to Tamiya Natural Gray. And I think this is supposed to be darker. Maybe I'll come back and fix it down the road. Who am I kidding? No, I won't. And now the final assembly. The wings are just epoxied onto the body, so I sanded off the paint of the wing nubs to ensure I get a really good grip with the 5-part epoxy. And now we're ready to defend the Empire. Here we are, over 3 years later, but it's finally done, and I have to say, I'm way more happy with how this turned out than I expected. But would I buy a resin kit off of eBay again? No, I would not, and here's why. You cannot be certain of the pedigree. It could be original, it could be a miscast, it could be a recast, and while you may save a few $100, the time it will take in repairing the kit is just not worth it. Just go and support your favorite model producer and pay them what they ask. They've earned it. It's going to be worth it. Have you ever done an eBay resin kit? How did that work out for you? Let me know in the comments below. And do you have a favorite custom model maker who sells kits? Well, share their info below as well so I can go and check them out. And if you made it this far, I just wanted to say thank you. You rock. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe button, and even that little notification bell. It doesn't cost you a thing. It does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Where the hell am I going to put you?